right, I'm going to get started, guys. Welcome. So this is our second live video. Our first one was such a great success with Ryan that we couldn't wait to plan more. Today we're going to be chatting with Lisa Waud of Pot and Box and Debra Prinzing of Slow Flowers, all about the greatness that is Detroit Flower Week. Super excited. Or we might be calling it DFW, just so you know. You may recall hearing about an amazing project last year called the Flower House. It brought together over 3 dozen florists, volunteers, 36,000 stems of American-grown flowers and plants, and they are artfully designed in 17 rooms of an abandoned house in Detroit. Truly awe-inspiring. Such a great moment in our flower history, and it was really thanks to the creator, Lisa. So now we're going to fast forward a year later to today, and Lisa is ready to leave her mark on history once again with the help from trailblazing flower friends like Debra. And Debra is a champion of American-grown flowers, helping to promote awareness and consumption of the blooms grown in the USA. Lisa, Debra, welcome. We're so excited to have you here today for our live chat.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for putting this together. The dynamic duo of Allie and Yvonne.
Yeah. And I want to introduce Allie. She is on my team. She's an amazing content creator, designer, and she works a lot with all of our people like Debra and Lisa. So thank you, Allie, for helping with today's chat.
Of course, happy to be here. Oh, and just a little heads up, if you do not have a chance to catch the whole broadcast, we will be recording this and posting to our blog and Facebook tomorrow. So this will be all over social media.
Indeed. I'm going to try and go on Facebook Live one more time, but in the meantime, Allie, I think we can get started.
Alrighty, we get started. Okay, let's get started. Lisa, last year's Detroit Flower House was such a big success and gained national attention, so we are not surprised you wanted to run with it and continue this year. How did the Flower House evolve into this week-long extravaganza event?
Well, anyone who was at Flower House, Debra can attest to this. It was a magical, really amazing week. We have 3 days of installation and 3 days of exhibition, and 37 designers, over 100 volunteers. We had 3,400 visitors, and in that time, there were a lot of great conversations and a lot of great connections, but it really felt like a blur to me, and I'm sure it did to you, Debra, as well.
Not as much as for you.
Well, basically, I had this dream to bring everyone back together and to be able to have the time to get to know one another a little bit better. You know, when we were at Flower House, it was very much that we had a job to do, and you know, we were there to fill a house with flowers, and so there was a lot of focused energy, and so I really wanted to bring everyone back together to you know, have some conversations and everything. So what started as we should have a reunion party, maybe we'll have a little dinner, maybe we'll have a lecture. You know, I don't do anything small, so here we are. We've got a whole week, Detroit Flower Week, over 20 lectures, and I think 11 workshops and an amazing dinner. So it really, Detroit Flower Week was inspired by that connectivity and the collaboration and the creativity that came out of Flower House. And this is just another form that we're bringing people together to recreate that and to revisit it.
That's great. You kind of went over it a little bit, but can you go over a little bit more about what attendees expect to get out of DFW or what your hope is for them?
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot to cover. So I guess in general, what the kind of programming is, we have 5 days, Tuesday through Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's 4 days, and Saturday. There we go, there's our 5 days. With Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are our main days. We have 4 lectures each day and workshops happening concurrently. Tuesday and Saturday are a little shorter. We have 1 and 3 lectures happening those days, and those are included in the general ticketing. The workshops are ticketed and priced separately, but for those lectures and workshops, I can't even tell you the lineup we have here. It is, you know, for deep flower nerds like me, we've got floral designers, we've got Emily Thompson, Joe Massey, Ariella Shazar, Holly Chappell. Lewis Miller. I was joking to myself that I should write a little jingle and they all rhyme and I can say them in order or something like that so I don't miss anyone. But then there's also programming for people who are not as interested in going deep into floral design and the logistics and details of that. You know, we've got my friend Monique doing basically a workshop on how to smell. She makes perfume out of natural ingredients, and what an amazing kind of tie-in. You know, it's Flower Week, but it's anything to do with plants and flowers. We've got another local woman, Louise Chen, known as Wheezy. She's a mural artist. She does beautiful flower murals around town. She's going to be doing a class on how to paint flowers in her style. So things that aren't necessarily about design techniques and that kind of thing, a little bit for everyone. So that's kind of the general programming. And then of course, culminating with a beautiful dinner at the Detroit Public Library, which we're very excited about, and I can tell you a little bit more about later.
Awesome. So Debra, let's hear from you. Can you tell us a little bit about the 2 presentations that you are involved in?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so thankful that Lisa invited me to be part of the Detroit Flower Week because she knew I couldn't stay away. Actually, I just have this back up and say last year when she had a media preview, I was in, what was it, Lisa, May 1st? And I was in Minneapolis, and I was like, oh, I'll just rent a car and drive over to Detroit. Well, not so easy for the geographically challenged like me, but I got there and it was sweet. So it's an honor to be back and to share, for me, to share the story of flowers. And so I'm really going to follow the entire floral continuum and bring people along on that journey of what's happening in this renaissance of focusing on domestically grown, seasonal, sustainable flowers from the beginning of the farm all the way through the different distribution channels, like what you guys are doing at Mayash, like really creative cooperatives and regional hubs that we're seeing happen with farmers and florists coming together, and then what's happening exciting on floral design. But I'm going to weave through my presentation, my personal story of how I fell down the rabbit hole, and a former recovering garden writer who met so many awesome I've met so many awesome flower farmers and passionate floral designers in the last 10 years. That's really changed my interest in horticulture to be floriculture. So I'm going to talk about that for a session, I think 2 hours, and then my second presentation is going to be partnered with Christina Stemble of Farm Grow Flowers, who's a friend to all of us. She's a big advocate for American grown flowers and built her very successful business, Farm Grow Flowers, on the sourcing question on sustainability topics in terms of reducing waste and really a whole new model for e-commerce flowers. So we're going to do a Q&A where I'll interview Christina more as a business discussion, talking about how she's built her brand. I think it's going to inspire people who, wherever they are in their business, want just a little jolt to get out of their rut and think about doing a floral business in a new way. So that's going to be kind of a fun conversation on Saturday morning.
Cool. That sounds awesome.
That's great.
Alrighty.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I am about to do a little screen share, so bear with me, of the Detroit Flower Week page, just so those of you following along can kind of see what that looks like.
Exactly. And when Allie goes and does that, we might lose sound just for a couple seconds, so don't be alarmed. Give it 1 second. Switching over. Awesome. That worked much better this time around.
Good.
Yeah. So Lisa, you have an amazing and talented mix of creatives involved this year. You talked a little bit about that, both floral related and not. Can you tell us, expand on that, about how this all came together and the different types of workshops and presentations we'll be seeing?
Yes, gladly. So let's see here. How do I start? Well, like I said, I wanted to bring everyone together for an inspirational kind of gathering of people that can work together in the future, be inspired by one another. And looking through this schedule of presenters here, I mean, this is really a force of people in the industry now doing innovative things in their particular universes, I think. I mean, you know, I keep saying that I'm going to do a little video for our Facebook page on how I've met each of these designers and people, and why they have a special meaning for me, or when I met them at a certain time in my life. And it is such a special thing this week that's happening here. You know, I'm slogging through emails and, you know, complaining that I'm so busy, but then I wake myself up and I look at this schedule and I can't believe this lineup.
Right.
So
it's amazing.
it is
really is.
amazing. And just to circle back to what Debra was saying, and to just kind of take a minute to thank Debra for this. You know, very early on, when Flower House was just an idea, Debra, you know, popped me on her podcast and really believed in the project. You know, early on we had committed Flower House to all American grown flowers, and so it was a natural conversation that she and I picked up, and she got me on that podcast. And I think that's really when it started to feel real, and kind of that I was going to be held accountable, that I was doing this crazy thing. You know, that Debra has really helped connect a lot of these people with me and with each other. I really think that we should take a second to give her credit for being such a connector.
I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share real fast, so I just didn't want to cut anybody off.
I love looking at that page, though, of all the designers. It's just, that in itself just is exciting. And then when you look at the schedule, it's just, I want to go.
Yeah, I know. Yes. Well, Mayesh Corporate, are you listening?
All right, I'm back. Can everyone see me? Did that work out?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So another, Lisa, were you finished with that question?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So another question for Debra. And you might have covered this a little bit, but how did you first meet Lisa and become involved last year? Take it back a little bit.
Yeah, Lisa did hint that a little bit. I wrote down this term, this phrase, harmonic convergence. I think that's what this week is about, of just this universe is bringing all these amazing people together who are passionate and share they share commonality, but they also have differences. And I think that's what's going to make it a really strong, groovy week. Lisa and I were introduced just virtually by Jill Rizzo of Studio Chew, who a lot of you know, and actually it's great that Jill's going to present at Detroit Flower Week. She just said, Debra, I think you need to know this woman. She's got this idea. And, you know, I somehow just lurked around the fringes of Lisa's base camp narratives, long memos that she would send out to people. I'm thinking about doing, well, it was heartfelt though. I watched Lisa go through the tragedy and disappointment of losing that first house she was hoping to buy. And that was, you know, that was kind of a disappointment. She just picked herself up, dusted herself off, and opened herself up to another house and got two. So it was really exciting to kind of witness that. And it made me, as a storyteller, it made me want to tell her story more. So we just got to know each other virtually, and then realized we had a lot of connections with Pacific Northwest, because Lisa went to school here and worked in the nursery industry here. And so it just cemented our friendship. And it's just been a privilege to witness what she's been doing, and to be involved in promoting it. And because we have a lot of common objectives, and I think we have a great community, and everyone who's on this talk today knows that they're included in that.
That's awesome. And then out of everyone that's going to be there, and I know it might be hard to pick one, but who are you most excited to meet at DFW, Debra?
Well, I went through the list of names, and I just have to say that of all the presenters, I've already interviewed 12 of them for the Slow Flowers podcast. So I feel like I got the inside scoop already. So if you want to know more, go back and listen to those archives. I
just decided we're going to rename the conference Slow Flowers IRL.
In real life.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, I mean, Lisa just provided that platform even at Flower House. I went around to every designer, and I think I missed a few, but almost every room designer, and got to interview them about their inspiration. And everybody's got such a personal story. So it's hard to pick a favorite. I'm also a couple of the speakers I've interviewed for magazine articles. So there's just a few people that I haven't met, and they're mostly these wonderful artists that Lisa's bringing in, and also both Joseph Massey and Lewis Miller I haven't met. So I think, I love everybody, but I'm going to look up for the people I have who are new to me.
Right.
Collect them all.
Before I ask our next question, I just want to point out we don't have too many questions right now, but there's kind of an awesome discussion going on in the chat. Somebody just said they booked their room just now for the Wednesday the 13th. People are Monique is feeling super enthusiastic about this because it was so awesome last year. So yeah, so that is awesome.
Yeah.
That is actually Monique, who is doing the perfume workshop.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hi.
Oh, fun.
Hi, Monique. And hi, Tracy. Yes. If you guys do have questions while we're chatting here, just go over to the Q&A tab and you can post them there.
Yes. So Lisa, what are your plans for the future? Are you planning on making this an annual event? What is the future of Flower House? Or
curious minds want to know.
Well, I think early on in this, in the planning of Flower Week, I was ambitiously calling it the first annual. You will notice I am not calling it that anymore until maybe in November we can start talking about the second annual. But I've got a long to-do list. So I certainly love collaboration and getting people together, and I love large-scale installation and working with American and local flowers. So I'll leave it at that.
We'll see. I'm sure there's more in store. So that'll be exciting to see what happens.
Exactly. So
actually, I want
to do it again so we can come.
Yes.
Oh, I want to ask Lisa about the flower. Where are the flowers coming from? Because I know that Michigan is still at the peak of dahlia season, but you have all your instructors and installation artists have kind of very long wish lists. How can you talk about that?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm happy to say that Mayash is a flower sponsor of Detroit Flower Week.
And this was not a setup. I didn't know all this.
Yeah, I didn't put that question in, but thank you for bringing that up.
So yes, I am very thankful for my local rep, Andy Arthur. He's been working some magic with growers here and across the country. We're also working with my personal favorite and the man who stocks the Pot and Box flower truck this time of year, Michael Genovese, up at Summer Dreams Farm, which is just an hour north of Detroit. These dahlias, ladies, they are bigger than my head. They are gorgeous. And I was just texting with Michael last night and saying, how many dahlias do you think that we could maybe get for Flower Week? I know we'll be creeping up on frost there. And he said, 3,000. And I said, I think you put in an extra 0. And he said, no, I didn't. So Michael will be bringing his dahlia magic down to the city yet again. I think Debra or anyone who saw some of the pictures from Flower House, they'll remember Michael brought us, I want to say 5,000 dahlias.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. And it was such abundance of, the flowers that were coming. And, as Flower House progressed and we were doing our installation, flower farmers locally would show up with trucks of flowers, cutting down because the frost was coming. It was absolute heaven, and we were very spoiled. So Michael showed up with 5,000 dahlias. We didn't know what to do with them, so we filled the chain link fence with dahlias. So maybe the only one in the world that's ever happened like that. But, so Michael will be providing dahlias for all of the presenters through the week, and Joe Massey's gorgeous installation that we'll have in the library for our dinner. And we're also working with my friend Angie from Blue Hill Farm here in the city. And the same thing, we're very fortunate, or maybe I've planned it well, that frost is coming. So we'll be getting a lot of her field.
That's so cool. And I'm so psyched that Michael's going to present the story of his emerging flower farm. I know Allie's blogged about him before too.
Yeah. We have an interview. Check that out.
I was just going to say.
I know we could.
Yeah,
exactly.
And on that note, I wanted to let people know that we did a special programming on Friday. We've got Michael from Summer Dreams talking about growing dahlias for profit. Lisa Ziegler coming in, the same thing, her lecture and her workshop about growing cut flowers for profit. We have Molly and Heidi from Field to Florist over in Chicago, a functioning florist farmer operation. And then Friday evening ends with Debra talking about her story of slow flowers and kind of tying that all up. So the hope in programming Friday as it is that if a flower farmer could only come to one day, that they could come to Friday and really get bang for their buck.
That's great to know.
Yeah.
So I also would love to know, obviously it would be really great if people from all around the states or the world could draw inspiration from you. And I'm sure that they already have, and host their own flower week or own flower house. Was that one of your goals when you started this whole project? And if so, what is some advice or inspiration you could give to anyone interested in undertaking something like this? Because I'm sure it's a beast of a project.
Well, firstly, I'll tell you my mindset when I was at auction buying a house for $250. I was certainly not thinking that I would be inspiring anyone to do anything. So, since Flower House, I've had the great fortune of communicating with a lot of people emailing me saying, I love this idea. I want to do something like this. And, my response is, how can I help? I can share my spreadsheets and I can tell you like kind of generally how I organized it, or, how can I advise? And I mean, it's great fun. And, one thing that I learned deeply because of Flower House is, having a creative idea, you have to back that up with being able to slog through those logistics. And I think something that I'm thankful that is a part of me is I enjoy that. I think there was a 3-day window last summer where I didn't leave the house. It was in pajamas and on my computer programming like the ticketing page, getting 2,000 people through there. It took a lot of time to, program those different events and everything. But, I think there's a great balance between, having ideas this big and, being able to make a to-do list from that and stick to it and find a real joy in that. And I think anyone who's a florist, you have to love that too, because that's our whole week. That's, every day for us. So.
Right. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
No questions so far. You guys are being shy. You got questions? Come on, this is your time. If you do think of anything, go ahead and post it in the Q&A tab and we'll relay that to Lisa or Debra.
Everybody's just taking it in.
Right.
Debra, what are some current projects that you over at Slow Flowers are working besides Flower Week?
Oh yeah, I can hardly wait to go to Detroit. I started a project called American Flowers Week in 2015. This was the second year, and Mayesh is a sponsor this year, so you all know this, and I'm really excited that you were involved. I have the graphic for 2017 up and ready to go. The dates are June 28th to July 4th. So it's basically the week leading up to Independence Day. And I'm really excited to see this take off into going into year 3. What we're doing for year 3. Well, backing up, some of you may have seen the wonderful red, white, and blue flower fro that Susan McCleary of Passion Flower Events, a good friend of Lisa's, good friend of the Flower House, a presenter at Flower Week. She created this amazing icon, and Mayesh used it to share the story with your community and your customers. I was so glad to see that. So that was pretty special. And I, like Lisa, can never just do the same thing the second year. So we're doing 5 floral style fashion shoots, wearable flowers. We'll unveil them kind of like a fashion week, where every day there'll be a big reveal. This is starting at the end of June. And they're representing flowers grown all across the country. Talented designers across the country are volunteering to do the designs. And I have to just give you a teaser. We shot the sunflower ball gown here in Washington State about 3 weeks ago, and it blew my mind. And so it's going to be fun to see what the other designers do, and that'll all be our kind of excitement that we share to stimulate interest in American Flowers Week. And the whole goal of American Flowers Week is a social media awareness campaign that has a place for everyone to get involved. I love what Lisa's doing. I kind of wish that every week could be American Flowers Week, but she's starting as a very good kind of role model to get a model that others could certainly replicate We had really interesting activities in certain groups around the country. The group in North Carolina put together a big floral party. Farmers put it on and invited florists to come play with flowers. And it was like no strings attached. And it really got florists who maybe weren't completely familiar with what was happening in their local agriculture to touch and smell and feel these flowers and see how awesome they were. So there's, I'm trying to document these experiences at AmericanFlowersWeek.com so people can maybe go through it like a menu and say, well, I'd love to do a dinner. I'd love to do a workshop. I'd love to do local media. I'd love to have some kind of meetup or creative experience, but there's room for anybody to just express American flowers in that way. And I just have to say the reason it works so well, not to mention the patriotism of July 4th, is that we know there's flowers, cut flowers growing in all 50 states in July, thanks to the fact that the peonies in Alaska are blooming like crazy at that time of year. So that's kind of on my mind right now as I get ready for Detroit Flower Week. I'm going to be inspired to see what Lisa does, and maybe there'll be some kind of mashup we do together in the future.
Awesome. That is great. Good to hear that things are underway for all of that. Lisa, do you have anything else you'd like to share? Maybe a particular book you have coming out soon?
Thank you. That's on my list. And I can see in the chat that Heather Saunders, the book author and Flower House photographer, is with us. Hi, Heather. Yes, I am so honored and excited to tell everyone that the book is nearly at the printer, and Heather has been working tirelessly all summer on that. And we will be having a book launch party on Tuesday evening, opening night of Flower Week. And the book, we're still in, Heather's still in pre-sale, and we'll still be taking pre-sale at that evening, and she'll do a reveal of the book cover, I believe. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, Heather, but and then we'll have a dance party and celebrate her achievement in putting that together. And then the book will ship, I want to say 3 weeks later and it'll be available for the holidays. And I have to tell you, there were so many photos that I hadn't seen of Flower House. And as I've been seeing some of the drafts, it is an emotional thing to look through this book, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Heather got into some places that I hadn't seen, and she was in there, and she had a perspective that no one else had in Flower House. And just like with Debra's documenting and being in there, in a closet with Susan, or, upstairs in the bedroom with the Bloom ladies, like these time capsules of preserving what was happening those few days is priceless. So what you can check out, what is it, flowerhousebook.com, I believe. I think I reserved that website, so I should remember that. But yep, still in pre-sale, and we're so excited to celebrate with Heather. She has really done something beautiful.
I cannot wait to see it. I know. Awesome. I do have a couple questions. Woo-hoo. Laura wants to know, what is your favorite flower, Lisa?
Okay, at this point I have to date myself and tell you that when email came out, I was a professional gardener at the time, and I was working at a business up north of my hometown in Petoskey called Polly's Planting and Plucking, and I was working with 30 women, and we all had to choose if we were a flower, what flower would we be, and hands down, I am a dahlia. Michael will be happy to hear that. So my very first email address was dahlialisa at some, Hotmail or Yahoo or something. I don't have that anymore, so don't email me there. But I'm a dahlia. I'm a dahlia from the start.
That's great. How about you, Debra?
Oh, that is the hardest question. We were just talking about it at the growers market this morning. It is sort of like the flower in front of you is your favorite, right? But I often say gardenia because that was in my wedding bouquet. And they're just so iconic and classic.
Indeed.
But I really love them all.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's hard.
Yeah. Well, you guys have to, by the way, you guys have to answer.
Yes. I know mine. I've got two.
What's yours?
Mine are, at the moment, of course, like you said, every flower in front of you is your favorite, but Icelandic poppies and Japanese anemones are my current like, give me all of them. And Deborah and I are lucky enough to be up in Seattle, where there is flowers in every garden, and there's Japanese anemones blooming all over Queen Anne.
It's the
Seattle,
season
so.
right now. Yep.
Oh,
I love
so
Japanese
pretty.
anemones.
My boyfriend, I stop to take pictures every time we go to coffee. He's like, "Didn't you take a picture yesterday?"
Yeah, I did.
Yep.
I love it.
Another, sorry.
Yeah.
Yvonne, you've got a good selection that you see every day.
I do. And I get lucky, you know, I get to see a lot here since my husband manages the Miami branch down here. I have to say, I've been always obsessed with orchids, and then those are my favorite. Any kind of orchid, it doesn't even matter what it is. I love them. The little tiny ones, the big giant ones, and they last forever. He brought me home some phales that were totally dried out and gross, and he couldn't sell them, and I cut them, and they were in my house for probably a month. They amaze me. I love orchids. Yeah.
Cool.
I always get the garbage. It's like, here, honey. But I always revive them and give them a little second home. Yeah, so orchids for sure. I would love to know, other people want to know if you need volunteers. Do you need volunteers still to make
We
this
certainly
Detroit
do.
Flower Week run?
It takes a village to throw a Detroit Flower Week. You can just drop us an email at hello@potandbox.com and we'll get you set up.
Great. That's awesome.
Yes.
And I feel like there might have been one more.
I see one more for Deborah. I'm not sure exactly. It says, Deborah, what do you really think? We can only use American grown? I wasn't sure exactly.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Tracy. I see that question. I can't tell whether she means when do I think we can only use American grown, or whether I think that's possible. So I'll just answer how I typically do, which is, of course, it's pebble in the pond approach, in my opinion. If you can use local flowers from where you live and where you work first as a first choice, they're going to be probably the most slow. I'd like to say it's the 5-step bouquet is my first choice, which is out in my backyard. And then, you know, it's just it's personal, what's personally available to you. If you can buy from local farmers and support farmers, or have a wholesaler like Mayesh who's actually thinking about where they're bringing flowers in and knowing that their customers are asking about, you know, just distance traveled or regionality or seasonality, that's pretty special. And if you don't have, you know, a wholesaler like that, for people who maybe have to train their wholesaler, start asking for, you know, sourcing. Can you bring in some American grown or bring in local? I think that there's some purists out there who really do limit themselves to only local and only within an X amount of, like, 50-mile radius or 100-mile radius. I think realistically for wedding and event designers, I don't want to be the floral Nazi. I don't think that's possible unless you really make that part of your design aesthetic. So I just think whenever we can be excited and cheerlead for local flowers, we're just improving the prospect for more flowers and making the pie bigger for all of us. Because the more of us who support and buy domestic flowers, the farmers are then going to be able to take a risk to buy more seeds and buy more land and to invest in labor and expand what they're growing. So demand really drives this. So just, you know, that's something to think about when you're making your purchases or consulting with brides or clients. Lisa's nodding. Thank you for that, Lisa.
Yeah. Well,
Lisa might want to jump in.
Yeah, and I see Tracy commenting that she's seeing so many flower farms pop up around Michigan. I mean, and it's true. You know, when I first started, you know, it was kind of a weird question to say, like, where's your American grown section, or do you have a locally grown section, you know, at wholesalers? And now it's normal, you know, it's just a given that that's what I'm looking for. And I think as florists and people who are designing are asking for it, and, you know, the demand is increasing, people are more willing to, you know, especially here in the city, you know, in other cities where land is more affordable, to take that risk and, you know, to plant a row and to get into it. And so I think, you know, all boats are rising with the tide. You know, designers want more, and so there are more flower farmers, and we're all going to do this together.
Yeah, it's great.
I agree.
It's awesome. Do you guys have anything else you want to share before I wrap it up? Anyone have any more questions? It's time to get them in if you do. Everyone that you've posted though.
I've got a couple more interesting things that are happening at Flower Week that maybe have kind of not gotten their spotlight because we're so excited about all the presenters and everything, which are fun. But I wanted to just touch on that we've organized a local maker market, a botanical marketplace, we're calling it, where we've reached out to Southeast Michigan makers and anything like planter, flower, botanical kind of themed that we'll be having. Basically, if you kind of think of a museum store where they have a little bit of everything and we'll have it staffed with someone. And so it's all in consignment. And even though I think the deadline has passed and my my team is going to kill me, if you have something that you'd want to submit, go ahead and do it right away. You can find the app on the Detroit Flower Week site. But that'll be a really nice thing. So we'll have a little bit of shopping. Monique, again, our friend here in the chat, she actually has this beautiful Vardo, this little kind of wagon that she brings. We've measured it fits inside of the venue, as well as we're bringing the flower truck. So we'll have a little fleet of fun flower things. She'll be there, I believe, with her henna and so we'll have that, as well as my friend Sandy has a coffee shop here in Detroit called Red Hook. She'll have a coffee cart there, all waking hours. I am heavily caffeinated always. And so that was the first thing that I secured, as well as we'll have a fleet of food trucks rotating through the week. So basically, just get dropped off right at the Jam Handy at the building where we are, and you're good. We will take care of you. We also have different after hours venues planned. So, you know, when the fun ends at maybe 8 p.m. and the last presenter wraps up, we'll have a place to go, a different restaurant or hotel lobby that's hosting us, so we can kind of continue any conversations that need to be wrapped up or amped up or whatever we want to do after hours for Flower Week. So I really think it's just, you know, I have this vision of just kind of getting plunked down and staying in Flower Week for, you know, the 6 days, and really just making the space for those conversations to happen. And it's really, I am already so excited to be there.
Awesome. Great. Yeah. We have one more question. Tracy's asking, how are you keeping bugs and pests off your dahlias?
If that question is for me, I am not. Mine, I can see my cutting garden from here, and they are holy, like Swiss cheese. And we go and buy from Michael because his are pristine. So you'll have to ask him Friday afternoon. Flower Week.
Actually, I think Michael just addressed the pest pressure question on his Facebook page, because people have been asking him, and he, you know, he has thousands of dahlias, and that's pretty hard to, you know, go around and hand pick bugs off of everyone. So he addressed that a little bit. I think he's trying to be as sustainable as possible. I think also it depends on where you are in the country. I guess Tracy's in Michigan, so maybe she's dealing with some of that. I think I was just on the East Coast, and the humidity and heat this summer in North Carolina and South Carolina, it just really delayed their dahlia season. Whereas here in the Pacific Northwest, we're like filthy with dahlias and they're healthy. So it depends on where you are.
Your carry-on better be packed with dahlias.
I got it, Lisa.
Awesome. Great. I'm gonna ask, any last closing comments? Debra, do you have anything? I know Lisa just shared. Do you have anything that you wanted to end with?
I just want to tell Lisa, she's going to totally hate me, but I'm producing a photo shoot tomorrow for Better Homes and Gardens. We have 3,000 dahlias pulled for this photo shoot. And if you watch my Instagram feed, if you watch My Slow Flowers on Instagram, I'll be shooting some behind the scenes sneak peek of that story tomorrow.
Oh my goodness.
The story won't run until August of 2017, but that's how it goes with magazines.
Yes, it does.
Awesome.
So I'm busy.
Yeah, you are. You all stay busy. One more question from Tracy. I love your questions, Tracy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah. Do you have many do you know about how many people are attending Flower Week?
Yep, we're set up to host 200 each day for the lectures, and the dinner will be set for 250 people. So get your tickets.
Awesome. That's so exciting. Great. All right, guys, if you want to
Actually, you should put. I see that Allie just put
Oh,
my Instagram.
I put the wrong
Flower.
one.
No, but doesn't Detroit Flower Week have Instagram
Yeah,
too?
I'm about to be posting the Detroit Flower Week info.
Oh, you're on
So you
it.
can go get your tickets.
Right.
Yes.
And
I
then
will
the
post
Instagram page.
Yeah, I got that
Is
too.
there-
Coming right up.
Awesome. Good, good, good. All right. Allie's going to be posting some links. She's going to pin on Detroit Flower Week .info to the screen as well, so you guys can see that, and slowflowers.com. So if you want to check out Detroit Flower Week, it is happening October 11th through the 15th. Thank you so much, Lisa and Debra, for chatting with us today. This was great. Please let everyone know again where they can find out more about you and your projects. I know I just said it, but it's always good to repeat.
The best place to find me is either at debraprinzing.com or slowflowers.com or americanflowersweek.com. I have to stop. No more websites.
Well, I'll see if I can beat you. So you can find me at DetroitFlowerWeek.info, theflower.house, or potandbox.com. So we're even.
All right, I got as many posted and pinned and in the comments as I could.
and they're all interconnected. So
Yeah. One will get you to
Exactly.
the other, right?
Exactly.
And as Allie mentioned before, we are recording this, so we'll be posting this as soon as possible. We'll put it on the blog and on Facebook and all over the place. You know how we do it. And we'll make sure that we include everyone's links in there as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and for watching today's live chat. I'm working on planning more, so if you have ideas on topics to cover or people you'd love to see, or if you want to come on and chat with us, just let me know. Connect with me by using the contact form on our website, or sending me a message on one of our many social media channels. And that's it. Again, today's live chat was brought to you by Mayish. Thank you for coming, and I will see you all next time. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care.